Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start with the last unit of our syllabus. Of course, few leftovers are there. We'll cover it. That is distributed database. What do you mean by distributed database? We have seen the database management system, and now nowadays there are very few systems which rely on a single machine or a single computer system to stay on. Basically, in today's world, we are going to access the data, or we are trying to access the data from all over the world, and maybe uh, the data is stored at geographical different locations where the normal DBMS, that is a centralized DBMS, doesn't work. That's why we are going for a advanced version of the same, that is distributed databases. These distributed databases, what is the motivation behind that? Why we are using it? How we are going to use DBMS, distributed DBMS? What are the issues we need to deal with? That's all we are going to see in the unit number 6, that is distributed database. So distributed database management system is basically set of multiple and logical interrelated databases which are distributed over a network. Over a network means literally the nodes or the systems which are participating in that distributed databases are uh, geographically located distantly at various places, and those are managed as a single unit. Best example what we can see is the ATM which you are using. You may use any bank's card at any bank's ATM, and you feel that that machine is dedicated to you, and you are accessing it as a local machine, and you are getting the money from that. But it is not the case. If you are putting a Federal Bank card in a SBI ATM, the SBI ATM is going to talk to its server. The server of SBI is going to talk to Federal server. Federal is going to respond to SBI server. Then SBI is going to respond back to the SBI ATM, and then you are going to get the uh, money. So it's a huge network which is getting involved, but the user is getting a feel that yes, there is a single machine and I'm operating on that and I'm getting my money. So this is the way, this is a beauty of rather distributed database management system which we are trying to hand over to the users. So hence we are saying that it's a set of multiple or and logically interrelated database which are distributed over a network, which are actually located at distant location. It includes a single database which is divided into small fragments. It's a single database only, but it is distributed in a single fragment, and each fragment is integrated with each other and controlled by the individual database. That means a huge database is there. Let us say that we are maintaining a database of uh, university which is having colleges across the country or across the world. At that time, every time keeping all the data at a single machine and providing it to the various users is not advisable. Rather, it is advisable to maintain separate servers at separate countries, and the data related to that country will be kept in that server. Okay, let us say that we have a university which has colleges in US, UK, Australia, and India. So instead of maintaining all data at one location, we are going to fragment that data, divide that data into four portions. Data related to India will be kept in server at India. Data related to Australia will be kept in server at Australia. But of course, all these are controlled by some mechanism which will handle the consistency, integrity of this whole database. But here also we are not compelling any of the server to have its own have a compulsory infrastructure. Every server can have their own infrastructure, can have their own database system, can have their own structure of database. Data will be same, database can be different. Once database, the system can be different, operating system can be different. Okay, and these are located at geographically distant location. So this is the way a distributed database management system is work. In centralized DBMS, we have all the data maintained at a single server, and whoever needs that data is going to request that server and going to get the data. Here we have multiple servers working for the same purpose, say holding the similar database, but in fragments. So huge database will be divided into smaller fragments, and each fragment will be uh, placed on one node or one server located at a particular location. So it provides a mechanism that helps the user in distributing the data transparently. And this also mostly used in warehouses to access and process the data of the client at the single time. Okay, client doesn't know where the data is located. Client is just asking the data. Client is just asking the data. It's botheration of the DBMS to get the data to the client. Okay, it will be better understood when we see the difference between the two. The centralized DBMS, which we just now we were talking in the previous studies, and the distributed DBMS. So, in centralized data is stored at a single site, single computer system. Whereas in distributed databases, the data is stored at different sites. It doesn't mean that it has the same data on all the sites, but it has part of data distributed in among all the sites. Okay, so say 1 to 1000 record in one location, 1000 to 2000 at another location, that way. Okay, so data will be stored at multiple locations, multiple sites, or multiple nodes. In centralized DBMS, the data stored in single computer can be used by multiple users, whereas here the data is stored over different sites and multiple users can use the data uh, from any or different sites, but of course these sites are connected to each other, or at least they interact with each other if something happens with the data. Here, if the centralized system fails, entire thing is failed. Whereas in this distributed DBMS, if any one of the site fails, only that much data won't be accessible, but rest of the fragments will definitely be accessible. Will definitely be accessible. So that's a difference. That's a what we can say. We can count in advantages and disadvantages. That is why we are saying that centralized DBMS is less reliable or less reactive, whereas DBMS, distributed DBMS, said to be more reliable, because we are not going to lose entire data at once. Okay, uh, only that site fails, only that particular data will be uh, managed. Okay, and calling centralized DBMS as less sophisticated and distributed as more sophisticated uh, is because in this centralized DBMS, the all rights are given to only one machine or one DBA, whereas here we have more number of people involved, more number of sites involved, and hence interaction is more sophisticated as compared to centralized DBMS. Okay, so what basically motivates us to go for distributed DBMS is the actually it is the current scenario. Current scenario encourages us to go for distributed DBMS because nowadays that concept of cloud has come. We store all our data on Google Drive, or many of the clouds available, like Microsoft Azure is available, or um, Amazon cloud services are available. So we save our data on clouds many a times. Many a times we keep our data in our emails. So that's what we are looking for nowadays. We are looking for a comfort. The user is looking for the comfort, and he want to access the data at any time, at any place, and in any quantity. That's the and of course without any delay. So this need of accessing the data, or this fascination of the user about that data, has led us to think on distributed DBMS. Like, distributed DBMS is not a very new concept. Nowadays, the cloud and all are coming. So all are these concepts are already shown, or already implemented well in early 90s or so. This distributed DBMS came into picture, and people started uh, keeping the data on different sites. But that time it was we never had a common internet platform with us, so that we can share the data very easily. But nowadays it becomes very easy. So, what were the factors which was encouraging distributed DBMS? So first of all, the distributed nature of organizational units. Most of the organizations are uh, located across the globe. Their branches are across the globe. They are continuously interacting with each other, sharing the files, sharing the data. So that was the first need. Uh, we never wanted to burden any of the branch or any of the server which will hold the entire data, because why we don't want that is main aspect is the communication cost. When we try to access the data from any site, we need to bear a lot or huge amount of communication cost. So to avoid that also, we say that we are going for distributed DBMS. So distributed nature of organizational unit. They are across the globe, and they need to interact with each other, and also every branch or every organizational unit produces its own local data. So that's also that liberty also we need to provide as per their geographical, social, and economical conditions and technical availabilities. That particular location may opt for their own infrastructure, so that liberty also need to be provided. Second, huge need of sharing the data. All these organizational units communicate with each other and share the data with each other. So that was the need. uh, Support of for both OLTP and OLAP, that is online transaction processing and online analytical processing. These are the concepts which come into picture when we talk about data warehousing and data mining kind of thing. When we are talking about a small DBMS, uh, it doesn't involve many things, but basically, what is the need to keep the data or maintain the data? Because we should be able to access the data, and based on that data we must be able to take some decisions. Very small decisions or of very huge business decisions. So that this so hence we need to do the online transactions. You need to do the analytics, and which will be helpful for you. Okay, so we should be able to support the online transactions and the online analytical processing also. Or the example which I have given you about the ATM, you are taking any card and swiping at any machine, any ATM machine, or any rather card swipe machine. So all the server interact with each other. So we need to have a proper synchronization among all these servers and those machines and the user. So that is needed. That's why we are also encouraged to use distributed DBMS. Rather, database recovery, we have seen that what happens if the database recovery need to be taken care of. So that time losing the whole amount of data at the same moment will not be advisable. Hence, we are going for the replications or fragmentations of the data, and replicas are maintained of those for either for that fragment. We are maintaining the replica for that fragment or the complete unit of data. Replication is supported in distributed database management system, whereas it is not so well supported in the centralized one. And of course, different and multiple application softwares are used. So for that purpose also we need to have um, distributed database system. So these are the factors which were encouraging us to go for distributed DBMS. And as a whole scenario, nowadays at every moment, even if you are using simple internet or email, they are talking about distribution of the data. Initially, when internet was introduced in 90s, every site was having the extension .com. But later, when the sites were flooded with huge amount of data, all the sites were bind to distribute their data in the form of rather they have distributed the infrastructure itself, like .in, .us, .pk, .au. So these kind of things happen. So not everything was .com, but uh, they were uh, separated as the Indian sites, Pakistan sites, US sites, Australian sites, Germany sites. Not only that, but they were also separated as commercial sites, education sites, government sites, like that. Okay, so that distributed distribution was needed as and when the size of users and their demands um, grown exponentially. Okay, that only led to the birth of cloud also. So when the data and its usage was exponentially increased, there was a need of, even though, see, in Facebook or any of the social media, you are continuously posting your data, you are continuously posting your images. Most of the time those images are not useful for you and for the world, but still for Facebook it cannot judge anyone's data as important or unimportant. It has to maintain that data for longer time. And nowadays they are also giving the notification like 4 years back or 3 years back or something like that. They are keeping all the data with them, may it be important or not. So you can understand that how much amount of data they need to maintain, because most of the time or 99% of Facebook data is mm, not important, but still they need to keep it as important data and can give it back to the user when they want. So that is also that led to the need of DBMS. And nowadays there are very few cases in which we are using a centralized database, but in most of the cases we are using only distributed databases. So this will be a kind of architecture which distributed DBMS is following. every individual system every individual system is a wholesome database. Okay, and all are communicated or all are interacting with each other with the help of some common communication channel. Now most importantly, you are supposed to understand that even though this communication channel is same, in distributed DBMS we cannot bind any of the individual systems to have a particular infrastructure. I mean to say, location number one, depending on its geosocial and economical conditions, and of course the technical support available, it can opt for its operating system, its database structure, its memory storage structure. So there is a possibility that in India we have one structure, whereas in Australia we have entirely different structure. Not only for database but for the system also. Different operating system, different software, different memory structure, and absolutely different database structure. Maybe they are using different languages also to interact with the database. So yes, this liberty is given in DBMS, and hence this makes the database task, handling that task, very difficult, because same data need to be handled, probably fragments of similar data need to be handled, but still we cannot compel the system to have a particular infrastructure. We need to give the system a very good flexibility of choosing their own way of handling that data. Whenever you need that data, it is expected that that system must give you the accurate data and also must maintain the consistency and integrity of the whole database system. That is the responsibility of every individual system, but still they are they are free to use any of their system. So this is a beauty of distributed database management system. But as an administrator, this is a heavy or huge task you have to handle. Okay, so on that basis only we are dividing that distributed databases into two parts, two types. One is the homogeneous distributed database system and another is the uh, heterogeneous distributed database system. Nothing difficult to understand in this. When we say homogeneous, we expect that every system which is there in the distributed database must have same structure, must have same type of DBMS software. But in heterogeneous, uh, we don't expect that, or rather we don't compare that. Every database, like location 1 may have SQL Server, the location 2 may have MS Access, like location 3 may have Oracle 9i, and also they may have different softwares. Okay, so heterogeneous and homogeneous based on the structure. In if the organization is small or organization is private, definitely they can compel all the locations to have exactly similar structure. But if it is not private, it is a public platform, at that moment you cannot compel anyone to go for it. Okay, so these are the simple basic types of uh, databases. I'll just read out the advantages and disadvantages of the centralized uh, DBMS. So you will, we are not saying that centralized is not good, but nowadays, as the need is there, centralized is more or less uh, falling in the disadvantages side. But if I'm talking about the advantages, with the help of centralized DBMS, organization can easily communicate with each other in a lesser time. Okay, it basically allows every team member to interact with each other based on the simple structure which they are sharing with each other. And the individuals and team can easily share their ideas with this and can make the changes in the same databases so that everyone can understand that change, and the synchronization will be easy. We can have high level of security because we are not posting that data on any communication channel. So definitely security level is very high. uh, Most of the organizations prefer to use centralized to reduce the conflict within the organization, and sharing of information uh, can be taken or can be taken care of with the help of some other virtue or some other means. Whereas if I'm counting the disadvantages of that, the organization may face issue if there is a heavy workload on the same database, and there will be definitely the starvation and deadlock conditions may arise. Uh, Secondly, uh, local managers are least bothered about whatever the changes are happening at the central level. So that won't be a good sign as far as an organization working culture is concerned. And of course, we need to be very secretive, very purposeful to save the data, because we have only one system which is handling the whole data. And if I'm talking about the advantages and disadvantages of DBMS, distributed DBMS, uh, it reflects the organizational structure in an appropriate manner, where it becomes easy to access the organizational data in the effective manner because their own understanding of accessing the data. And if one branch needs the data from other, it need not to take efforts of querying that databases, fetching that databases, and maintaining that databases. It just requests the data and it gets it. And by using one particular site, user can access the data very easily and effectively. Uh, it also improves availability, reliability, and performance of the organization, as the data is fragmented at different locations and the data which it needs is available to it. And then failure of one site allows the user to get the site information from others also. Not every time the fragment will be it is possible that a single fragment may be replicated at different sites. Then distributed database system helps the organization to handle their growth expansion. There is no worry. Just open a branch, put their local data there, connect it to the rest of the branches, and your growth is achieved. Okay. So, and this no matter how big your database becomes, it can be very easily handled because we are already fragmenting it. But of course, if we count the disadvantages, it increases the complexity and cost of the organization, definitely. And it becomes difficult for the organization to maintain and manage the local database management system, due to which the organization may face difficulty to establish a network between the sites. You cannot have full control on the local database because all the other sites are also trying to access it. Not even not sometimes may not access it, but may try to request that data. And any updation at the local site must be reflected at all the other sites. So yes, uh, again we need to have a separate control on replication of the data. And while using the DBMS, organization may face the difficulty in maintaining the database integrity. That's what I said. When we are trying to make any changes, uh, we need to reflect it everywhere, which basically which needs a lot of communication, lot of integrity constraints to be imposed. So yes, it is a complex task, but this complexity uh, is comparatively lesser when we are talking about the advantages of DBMS. So this uh, complexity uh, overheads are accepted and distributed DBMS is widely used. Okay. Now, the similar advantages are there for distributed system also, but we are concentrating on DBMS. Hence, we'll be now bothered about how this data gets stored. How this data gets stored. So, there are three major aspects which we need to take care of. Uh, Rather two aspect, and another is hybrid one. So, if you are talking about any of the relational model, and we have branches across the world, and we have, let us say that we have 1 lakh entries in our database, the simplest model is to replicate. Okay, so how we are going to store the data? Replicate all that 1 lakh data items to all the sites, to all the branches located worldwide. So there will be no problem. Everyone can access all the data. It will be available on the sites. But of course, it will not be um, that good, because if anyone makes a changes, it need to be communicated to all the 10. Okay, so yes, it is advantageous, as well as it can be a little bit uh, complicated to handle. Second thing is we can partition. That is, we can go for fragmentation. Break that 1 lakh data into smaller pieces. Let us say that 10,000 each, and distribute it over all the branches. 10,000 at each node. Okay. Only care what we will take is the data which is useful for branch 1 will be placed in branch 1, which is data useful for branch 7 will be placed in branch 7. So that whenever branch 7 needs the data, which belongs or which is related to it will be faster for it, and if in case it needs other data, it can definitely interact with other sites. So fragmentation is another solution, and instead of going for replication or fragmentation, a hybrid model is proposed, that is we are replicating the fragments. We are fragmenting, and sometimes some fragments which are common for all will be replicated on all the sites, and which are not common will be placed at the respective site, right? So replication, fragmentation, and a hybrid approach, that is replication with fragmentation, is proposed. So what do you mean by data replication? This is a beautiful concept when we are talking about data replication. Now we'll not talk about replicating the whole data, but we'll always talk about replicating a fragment of the data, a part of the data. Part of the data is replicated at different sites, and the relation or a fragment of a relation is replicated, and if it is stored redundantly on two or more sites. Here we are achieving redundancy. Okay, full replication of a relation is not advised, but in sometimes we can go for it, and we can make the data fully redundant. But what are the what are the advantages of it? If we are replicating the data on all the sites, best thing is, let any site fail, your data is available on the other side. First thing, availability of data is great because every data will be available on the local site. Parallelism means many queries can be executed parallelly on every node, and there is no rather need of data transfer. Only if some updations are there, those updations will be communicated to other replicas. Okay, so these are the advantages of it, but disadvantages, we have increased the cost of update. If there are more number of write applications, write requests are coming, then every time with every execution of a query, we need to communicate that update to all the other sites, all the other replicas which are present, and sometimes there may be a conflict. If there are concurrent executions on different sites, managing or writing of the same data, that moment it will become difficult to handle. So replication is definitely advantageous, but not uh, as advantageous as uh, it sounds. Then better go for fragmentation. Fragmentation is the task of dividing the table into set of smaller tables. You can go for based on the indexing, we can uh, divide it. The subsets of the table are called as fragments. It can be of three types. It can be a horizontal, vertical, and hybrid. We are going to see in the future. But we need to take care that, as we did in the case of join, we need to split the table or fragment the table in such a way that when they are brought together, the original table must be reconstructed. Okay, so we can break the data into smaller pieces and post it on different locations or different sites. With the advantages, we can say that since the data stored close to the site of usage, efficiency of the database system will definitely increase. We are going to place the fragment which is being used by site number 1 most frequently at site number 1, site number 5 most frequently at site number 5. So immediately the data will be available. Local query optimization techniques are sufficient for most of the queries because we are going to access the local one. And of course, we can maintain the security, privacy of the database management system very properly, because there will be no irrelevant data which is available on that particular site. But of course, disadvantages are the access speeds may be very high, and in case of recursive fragments, the job of reconstruction will need expensive techniques. If repeated fragmentation is there, then at that moment, or the fragments are itself fragmenting into sub fragments. At that time, reconstruction cost will definitely increase, and it's difficult to take the backup every time, whatever may be the size of data. Every time you need to have a provision of taking a backup of data. So that will become difficult, backing up the data, because every is collecting all the data, then reconstructing the table, and then backing it up. By that time, there may be some other changes which may happen at any of the sites which are getting involved. So yes, it is little tiresome in that case. But still, fragmentation is one of the good options in distributed databases, where we have two or rather three types of fragmentation: horizontal, vertical, and mixed fragmentation, which is combination of horizontal and vertical. What do you mean by horizontal? The entire row. All the rows will be taken. Let us say that we have 1 lakh rows, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. Those rows will be taken, will be separated. That, of course, that 10,000 will be chosen depending on the index values. Not necessarily that equal fragments will be there. Some fragments will be of 5,000 rows, some will be of 15,000 rows, some will be of 10,000 rows. But it will depend on the index value. Okay, the index values which are getting more frequently accessed at site number 1, those index value will be fragmented separately. A fragment with those index values will be created and will be posted for site 1. So that is kind of horizontal fragmentation. Okay, and vertical fragmentation is, we are fragmenting it vertically. Means if there are 100 columns, the columns will be divided. Of course, primary key will have to it is not a small easy task. Vertical fragmentation means we cannot lose the key, we cannot lose the integrity, we cannot lose the consistency, and also we should not have a lossless join property. So even if you are breaking it into smaller parts, the candidate key or super key must be there in every fragment. Okay, that has to be there. Super key will be there present in every. Let us say that there are 1,000 columns. We cannot break it into 10, 10, 10, 10, but we can break it into 10, 10, 10, 10 along with a super key existing in every vertical fragment. Then only it will be useful. Otherwise, it will not be accessible at all. So vertical fragmentation is little tedious task as compared to the fragmentation in horizontal manner. But yes, it is also used in few cases. So here is the example which is given to you. So this is quite simple to understand. Like, this project is divided into two fragments, project 1 and project 2, whereas project 1 has the first one and project 2 has the latter 2 entries in that. Okay, but you can say that the skeleton, that is schema of both the fragments, will be exactly similar to the original table. Now if I am joining these two, project 1 and project 2, I am going to get the original table back. And this is what I was talking about, vertical fragment. Super key for this is p number. With the help of p number, I can access complete information. So if I am just fragmenting it vertically, project 1 is having p number and its budget, whereas project 2 has p number, its name and its location. Okay, these are the two fragments created where we are saying that we have super key common in both the tables. We'll have to impose it. So what will happen is, here total we are dealing with 5 columns, whereas originally we had only 4. But most important thing is, if I am joining project 1 and project 2, I am going to get back project, because p number is in common, that will be in common part and the rest will be present. Okay, so this is about the fragmentation. And the third fragmentation, that is horizontal hybrid fragmentation. In this we are connecting both your vertical as well as horizontal. First we divide it horizontally and then we divide it vertically as and when the need comes. Okay, so this was the basic information about distributed database management system. Next we'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you very much.